You wanna play games, motherfucker? Alright, I'll play.
That's why today on the Summarizer, how to beat every trap in Spiral. The movie begins with a detective named Marv when, at a 4th of July parade, he chases a thief down a sewer drainage pipe and, to no one's surprise, is caught by someone in a pig mask. When he wakes up, Marv is suspended by his tongue in the middle of a subway tunnel. Also, his hands are tied with barbed wire. He's only leaning on a ladder, and there's a TV with a weird jigsaw giving him instructions.
Hello, Detective Boswick. I want to play a game.
In a rather strange voice, he tells him that he has 2 minutes until the next train arrives, and the only way he can survive is by just falling down and cutting his tongue with his own weight, because apparently he kept lying in court, or he was corrupt. I don't know. But what matters is that he pulls the wire out of his hands, and for 2 minutes does absolutely nothing. So the train arrives, and the detective dies. In this trap, Marv could have tried a number of options. First, he could have tried cutting off part of his tongue with the barbed wire. In that case, he would have only lost part of it, and he could have jumped to the side of the subway. Also, during the 2 minutes, he could have tried to unscrew the bolts. They don't appear to be welded, and they are quite large, so he could probably unscrew them just by using his hands to release the pressure on the tongue and be able to jump off without losing it. And lastly, considering the training the cops are used to, and assuming Marv was strong enough, the best option might have been to grab the chains and climb upwards, moving his body as far away from the height of the subway as possible. In that case, the train would have passed underneath, the driver would have seen him hanging, and in a few minutes they would have stopped the subway to help him get off. Marv's story doesn't matter anyway, because this is the story of Chris Rock, who is now called Zeke and is a cop with a worried face, who believes that all his colleagues are corrupt, and that's why he puts drug dealers in jail, breaking into their houses as if they were thieves. But his boss doesn't like him doing these things, so she gets him a partner named William, with whom they go to the scene of the crime. There's still not much to see, and they can't identify the body, but later Zeke receives a package with a pen drive and a video.
Hello, Detective Banks. I'm here to help reform the Metro Police.
The video says he wants to reform the police, that the guy on the train wasn't the last one, and they begin to suspect Jigsaw.
Jigsaw?
Wait, I thought the Jigsaw killer was dead.
Yeah, but if it's another copycat,
It's gonna be a shit show.
So now they go to the side of the video and find another box with the train guy's tongue and badge. Later we meet Zeke's father, a retired cop who is none other than Samuel Jackson. There they tell us about personal problems that nobody cares about. But what does matter is that Zeke's former partner killed a witness, he ratted him out, and that's why everyone in the police thinks he's a snitch. Because in reality, almost everyone in the police are corrupt, like this guy who, while investigating Jigsaw, takes a gun without paying. But don't worry, because he goes looking for the thief of the beginning, enters an abandoned shed, and gets caught by the same pig as always. When he wakes up, he's in a trap where he must rip his fingers off to avoid electrocution in a filling water basin.
Hello, Detective Fitch. I want to play a game.
Apparently, he was caught because he killed a man who insulted him, and he has 90 seconds to get out of the water before he's electrocuted. So now he has to press with his mouth a device that activates a motor to pull out his fingers to escape. The guy activates the motor, but before his fingers completely come out, the water touches the cable and he's electrocuted to death. In this trap, there's something weird. I mean, the movie is pretty shitty, but the detective had nothing grabbing his legs, so he could literally get out of the tank without any problem. Since at the beginning when he was lying down, he's the one who decides to bite the mask and have the cable pull his fingers, but he had enough distance to get his whole body out and wait for help. Besides, there's no contact between the tank and the rest of the trap with the motor and the wires, so probably the electricity wouldn't have reached him if he was out of the tank. Well, we continue, because the film still gets worse. Then the police find the detective's body, and with an endless amount of flashbacks, we learn that after Zeke ratted out his partner, the rest of the corrupt cops started making his life miserable, to the point that once when he called for backup, they didn't even help him, and Zeke ended up shot in the chest. But let's continue. The next day, another package arrives at the police station, and when they open it, they find out that it's the skin of William, Zeke's partner. In a butcher shop, they find the skinned body as if it had been a jigsaw trap, but they never show us how he died, or how he was kidnapped, or if the corpse is really his. Suspicious. Zeke doesn't suspect much though, and starts freaking out because his buddies are dying. And what the fuck is this? An earthquake? What's wrong with the camera? Who came up with this idea?
It's gonna be a shit show.
Well, never mind. Then Zeke goes to a place where there's a wounded officer, but in reality it's a distraction because the one who's going to be kidnapped is his boss. Angie goes into the basement of the police department. A pig shows up, he throws a gas on her and she passes out. I guess she could have done something else, like attack the guy with the mask, but it doesn't matter.
Hello, Captain Garza. I want to play a game.
When she wakes up, she's tied to a bed and supposedly the only way to survive is to sever her spinal cord on a blade to stop hot wax flowing from a pipe onto her face.
What?
Zeke goes looking for her, but by the time he gets there it's too late. They try to revive her with some pretty weird reanimation techniques, and she dies. In this trap, I don't think there's any way to survive, not even doing what the recorder said, because I don't think you can survive after cutting your spinal cord. And on top of that, I don't understand how that would stop the hot wax. What I also don't understand is how they put all this together in a police department. If you can think of any answers to all of this, just write it down in the comment box.
Oh, okay.
Then Zeke is looking for his father, who's missing and is kidnapped by the pig. And while Samuel Jackson is wandering around in an abandoned building full of spirals, he has the bright idea to write a message in the middle of the room looking down at the floor. Zeke wakes up handcuffed to a pipe with a saw next to him. There are many ways to remove handcuffs without having to cut his arm. For example, he could break part of his thumb and thus remove the handcuffs without any problems, or he could have used the saw to try to cut the rusty pipe as in the traps of the previous movies. Anyway, the person behind all these tapes left him a hairpin that he uses to get out of the handcuffs. He gets up, makes a weird face, and we realize that the person hanging is Peter, Zeke's corrupt old pal.
Hello, Detective Banks. I want to play a game.
There's a machine that breaks bottles and throws the glass towards Peter, and our protagonist has to choose whether he wants to save him or not. Zeke chooses to save him, but by the time he finds the key, it's too late, and Peter dies. The trap itself leaves him very little time to save him. Besides, he still had to get the chains out of his hands. What he could have tried is some way to stop the machine. For example, he could have tried lowering the switch or looking for the wires that power the whole mechanism and thus stop it, or get on the conveyor belt and prevent the bottles from falling into the machine. And in that case, he would have had more time to think about how to free the detective or how to lock the gears of the machine. Anyway, now Zeke, cut and with glass all over his body, leaves the room and finds the person behind this.
I can't believe what I'm seeing!
Yes, his partner, because in fact, William is alive.
You lie!
No, I'm not lying, Arnold. Actually, the person that Zeke's partner killed was the father of this guy. So he changed his name, signed up with the police, lied about his son, and tattooed one of the dead cops. But anyone watching the movie could see it coming.
Yes, that's true.
Apparently, he also has Samuel Jackson kidnapped, and he was the one who sent him a message and made him go to that shed. So now, he proposes to Zeke to be a team. He's going to tell him which cops are bad ones, and William is in charge of doing his thing. Zeke says yes, but if his father goes free. So William tells him that to trust him, he needs him to pass one last test, calls the cops, gives him the gun, and tells him to hurry up, and they both go to the end game. Samuel Jackson is hanging from some wires and is bleeding to death, so he only has 3 minutes left. The police are going to arrive in 4 minutes, and if Zeke shoots William, his father dies, because he only has 1 bullet left, and to get his father down, he must shoot a target.
You can shoot me, or you can save your dad.
There we find out that Zeke's father was also corrupt, and during his time as a cop, his department killed a lot of innocent people while trying to stop crimes, or something like that. But that doesn't matter, because Zeke shoots the target and saves his father, but instead of taking out the needles, he attacks his buddy. And meanwhile, the police come in, cut a wire, and that makes Samuel Jackson start to lift up with some strings, and like a puppet, he looks like he's going to shoot the SWAT guys. Then the police shoot him, and Samuel Jackson dies. First, the easiest thing to do would have been to untie and pull all the needles out of his father before fighting with William. It makes no sense to risk the life of the great Samuel Jackson to catch the other cop. Besides, everyone already knows the truth, and they could look for him later. Or Zeke, before shooting the target, could have tried to throw something else, such as a shoe, one of the books seen on the table, or any stone he finds in the room, and thus get his father down and still have a bullet to catch his mate. Or lastly, he should have paid more attention to what his partner was doing, and get the hook out of the door, or explain everything to the cops and keep them from shooting his father. Anyway, William escapes, Samuel Jackson dies, Zeke is stupid, and I hope they don't make a sequel to this movie because it sucks. That was how to beat every trap on Spiral. Comment if you'd like another video of this type, or what series or movie you'd like me to summarize for future videos. See you later!
Go to work.
Okay. Bye.